Appreciate you clicking on this video. The trailer for Transformers 1 has finally been released online. And while a lot of movies might start off with a short teaser trailer or a 1-minute trailer, Transformers 1 put out their entire allspark and gave us a 3-minute long trailer. And with this 3-minute trailer of the Transformers movie, fans are already discussing, debating, and are a little divided on what they just witnessed. So that's exactly what I wanted to get into here, is giving you basically my reaction to the Transformers 1 trailer, diving into what the story will be, what their plans are for this new trilogy, how does it connect to the live action stuff. But I don't want it to just be about my opinion. Like I said, I'm already hearing a lot of people either loving or kind of hating this trailer. I'm very curious to hear where you're falling on that, if you're somewhere in the middle, or if this trailer gave you exactly what you were hoping for. Alright, so Paramount did kind of an interesting thing with the release of this trailer. They had a timer set this morning for the release of the trailer, and I woke up bright and early, got all sat and situated, only for us to be treated with an hour-long shot of the trailer being sent up in space. Man, what the heck is this? Just kind of an interesting marketing tactic, but there you go. One of the first trailers ever to be released in space. Having the trailer kick off with the voice of Optimus Prime in this movie, who's going to be going by Orion Pax, Chris Hemsworth, and Brian Tyree Henry, who voices Megatron, who right now just goes as D16. And immediately I was kind of stunned and conflicted because I don't know how exactly to feel about this animation. Like, part of me really loves it, and then another part of me goes, this is giving me like kids show vibes. You know what I'm talking about? Like the 3D kids shows they come out with nowadays, either on streaming or on TV. That's the feeling I was getting from this, but it's so odd to say because there is a lot of detail going on in these shots. There is some beautiful landscape looks at Cybertron. There are moments in here where the animation felt a little weird, and then other parts where I was like, wow, this actually looks gorgeous. And I think a lot of people are on that camp. I think the thing to me, what was going on in my mind and what I most connected it to is those old Bionicle movies. You guys ever seen those or even take a look at a couple of clips? That's what I'm seeing here, is that same stiff robotic move and facial expressions are exactly what the Bionicle movies were like, and now I'm seeing them here in the Transformers 1 movie. I am gonna say I'm leaning a little bit more towards the positive side on the animation. I think it's the type of thing where after I sit down and see the movie, I could get really used to it, and by the time we get to the second film, I'll be loving this style, because there are some real standout moments, and the creative team mentioned the reason they wanted to make this movie animated is because trying to do this in live action would have cost them $1 billion. And with the scope and scale of this, yeah, I can totally see that being a thing. But the animation of this movie is definitely something that's gotten people debating whether they love it or hate it. The other thing that was kind of unexpected that is throwing some people off is the tone of this movie. I kind of prepared myself for this, so it's maybe why it didn't affect me as much, but we heard people who saw this trailer at CinemaCon said that the movie feels very similar to like a Minions film, where this feels like it's targeting a very young kid audience. And yeah, the humor in here feels like some very generic, lighthearted, family-friendly stuff. It's the kind of thing that people make fun of Marvel for. You know, the kind of jokes where people go, he's right behind me, isn't he? There were a lot of instances in this trailer where the humor did come off that way, but I'm willing to defend it because I see the sliver of hope for there to be serious moments in here. That is something that happened at CinemaCon. Attendees were shown this trailer first, and a lot of people were like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be this childish, this kiddish. But at CinemaCon, they also showed them a full clip of a conversation between Megatron and Optimus Prime, and the tone felt real serious, minimal jokes, and I feel like there are a sliver of moments in this trailer where you get that there are going to be some kind of dark moments in here. At the end of the day, while I'm sure there's a lot of us who are older, grew up with Transformers, and are hoping anytime they make a movie about our favorite properties, it's always geared towards us, we gotta remember, sometimes it's made for the next generation. Transformers, at the end of the day, is a toy brand. As cool and as badass as these movies are, they are still nothing compared to the toy sales. That's where the real money is in Transformers, so I totally understand them targeting a demographic that is still wanting to own toys. voice. But getting back to the moments in this trailer where I think it is going to get a bit serious and actually deliver a bit of emotion to that older audience, let's take a look at the actual plot that was released with this trailer. It says here, Transformers 1 is the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once were friends, bonded like brothers, who changed the fate of Cybertron forever. And yeah, right away, there's this moment of Megatron where you just see this look on his face where he's finding a Decepticon symbol, and I'm assuming from the way the trailer is setting things up, them being workers in this underground base, kind of like miners, they don't know much about their history or where they come from. So Megatron here looking at a symbol that is engraved in his body and has no idea what it means. It's going to be interesting to see his lineage and where he comes from, Decepticons. Not to mention the obvious friends to enemies plot they're about to go through. Pair that up with some of the more slower, somber moments of just taking in Cybertron, I feel like we are going to get some of those serious moments we're hoping for. It's just unfortunately going to have those scenes end a lot with a joke, much like the way the MCU likes to do, where they can't just have a serious moment be taken in, it has to end with a joke. As far as how this connects to the live action stuff, it technically doesn't. I say technically because since this is an origin story and it's sort of the background of how Optimus and Megatron became enemies, there's a way you could say, yeah, it's canon to the future stuff we see in the live action Transformers movies, but it'll never really be addressed directly. So if you want, you can pretend it's connected to the live action stuff and this is just the origin that happens decades and decades ago, but I would say you're better off just pretending this is its own thing. We're still getting another live action Transformers movie that is going to be the G.I. Joe crossover. That was confirmed at CinemaCon. So for anybody complaining this is way too geared towards kids, well, there's your slightly more adult Transformers. I will say also I am interested in this angle they're going with further exploring Cybertron and the origins of the Transformers, because even in this trailer they made it clear in the beginning they can't even transform. That's an ability that they're gifted with later on, and the movie treats it like the ability to transform is almost like a superpower, so they become superheroes of Cybertron, most likely trying to spark one of the many wars that happens in Cybertron, being led by this organic mechanical creature that is holding Sentinel Prime hostage. Another thing I guess I should talk about too is the voice acting. The voices I think are something I'm gonna have to get used to. Like, we already know this is a thing. Anytime we have a big budget IP property out, they are rarely ever going to cast actual voice actors, but instead are just going to get high name celebrities, and Chris Hemsworth is going to take getting used to. Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron, as much as I like Brian Tyree Henry, it doesn't really sound like Megatron to me. I guess it's missing that robotic flavor in the voices, but maybe that would be annoying to hear just like a robotic hum all throughout the entire movie, so they sound a little bit more human. Scarlett Johansson as Alita not only had like a really badass scene in the trailer, which is one of the things I am looking forward to in this movie, is the action scenes, but she sounded fine. I think Keegan-Michael Key is also going to be a possible controversial one. It's not that his voice sounds bad, it's more that he just seems like he's going to be the overly comedic character, and you either love or hate that. I'll feel like I'll end up liking it because I really like Keegan-Michael Key, but this already feels like a big departure from what a lot of people knew Bumblebee to be in the live action versions, and well, I guess that is on purpose. Here with Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave, I think as soon as these guys get their hands on Megatron and tell him where he comes from and their real purpose, Megatron is just going to be persuade and start turning against Optimus Prime and his friends. So look, yeah, although I am looking forward to this movie, I do think it looks fun. I'm not gonna lie, there are a couple of things that make me hesitant about it, but if the story is good and they deliver, I'll be happy either way. In fact, a lot of the complaints I'm seeing for Transformers 1, I saw when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem was coming out. While most people were actually always on board with the animation for Mutant Mayhem, I do remember so many people complaining about the Ninja Turtles feeling too much like kids, that they were too kiddie, the humor didn't feel right in the trailer, that the movie felt a little too childish, and those same things are being said here about Transformers 1. We do have to remember, this is technically the Transformers as really young adults. This is the beginning of their journey, and I guess that would make sense why they're a little lighthearted. If this is a planned trilogy, we're obviously going to see them grow and eventually evolve into the adult, fully fledged warriors that they're expected to be, and I think that's always fun in animation, is where you can grow up with the characters. So I do think the potential is there, but right now I do have to wait and see the movie first. I hope it turns out good, but I throw it off to you Transformers fans. You see the trailer for Transformers 1, how are you feeling about it? Are there any interesting Easter eggs or details as a hardcore Transformers fan that you caught that you'd like to share? Thoughts on the animation, the tone, all of it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.